Ever since Kong was made part of the MonsterVerse, I've been patiently waiting for a Godzilla vs Kong movie, and once it was announced I had to wait even more patiently as I had to keep seeing it get delayed and delayed. But it is finally here now and I finally watched it, so here is my review of Lizard vs Monkey. Godzilla vs Kong is the epic next chapter in the cinematic MonsterVerse, which pits two of the greatest icons in motion picture history against one another, the fearsome Godzilla and the mighty Kong, with humanity caught in the balance. This was actually one of my most anticipated movies of this year. The MonsterVerse, it has been fun. They haven't been great movies, but I feel like they've been they've contained a lot of enjoyment for me. So I was expecting that from this movie. But to see if I did or not, let's jump into my pros and my cons. One of the things that impressed me the most, which I just have to start off with, is the CGI, because this is some of the best CGI I have ever seen in a movie. Well, in a movie which uses this much CGI, because it all looked fantastic, and genuinely, especially with these two titans clashing, it just looked phenomenal. Previous MonsterVerse movies have criticised lack of action in some of them, or maybe the action scenes were in the dark, or weren't very visible, but here there are no complaints because there's a lot of action, the action is superb, and also a lot of it, the majority of it, is in the daytime, so you can see every single thing. Another criticism of past MonsterVerse movies is the human characters, that they take up too much time. Here, they know what the fans want, they limit the screen time of the characters only to the points where it's very necessary. Although they do have an interesting character called Jia. She can communicate with Kong through sign language. That was just a really unique thing, and for once, a good human addition in this series. Of course, you've seen the title of this movie, and if you've seen the trailers, it looks like it's a constantly moving story, and it is. It really does not slow down at all. It's very well paced and consistently fast, and I liked how they kind of explore things which had been mentioned in this franchise before. The things I didn't think we'd end up seeing, but it was a really cool addition, and good that they took time out of this movie to do that. Also to where it felt natural and didn't feel that forced. Now, I didn't think they would do those sort of things, and that's mainly because I think they did a great job with how they promoted this movie, because the trailers didn't reveal any of that. It didn't reveal a lot of things, which I liked the surprise and it enhanced my enjoyment. So I think they promoted this movie very, very well. So just overall, to cap off my positives, the movie promises what the title is, and I could not complain because I had such a fun time. It really does make me miss the thrill of seeing all these new releases, and it's a shame that I couldn't see it in cinema, because that would have been a great experience. As I mentioned, a negative about this franchise are the human characters and how they've been used, and although they are really pushed to the side in this movie, I thought they were still really disappointing, especially the kind of podcast group. For the amount of talent they brought in, it felt a bit weird just really having them as like a side character and really like limited in lines. Although the less humans, the better the movie was, but it felt weird having such good actors really as side characters. It's not a negative, it's just things to be wary of. So if you're like a Millie Bobby Brown fan, don't go in there expecting her to be one of the main characters, because their only goal was to literally have a reason to be in a spot just so we could see it, and it was really like forced, and things really had gaps in logic in this movie, on par with the Fast and Furious franchise. But it's one of those, like, yes, you can look at something like that and say, oh, that's a negative, but when I was watching it, it really didn't bother me. So I'm just pointing out that there are, lapses in logic, but it didn't bother me because the rest of the movie is great, and it doesn't waste its time trying to make it really serious and explain why it's like that or how that happens. You just go with it, and hopefully you can as well, like I did. There are plenty of silly things in this movie, which in past MonsterVerse movies they tried too hard to kind of connect it to something, and that's where it kind of takes itself too seriously at times. Here, it's not full on campy or anything, but it makes you enjoy your time and not have to be distracted by the humans or things which don't make sense. Because overall, even the villain's motives don't even make sense. So it's something you can really ignore. You can barely acknowledge it, but just me saying that those things are still there. So Godzilla vs. Kong did not disappoint me at all. I had a very good time watching it, and it really did make me miss new releases, new big blockbusters. I also wish I could have saw this in cinema for the first time, but it's just the way life goes. But in terms of my score for Godzilla vs. Kong, I'm going to give it a 74%, and it is a really good watch that if you are in the slightest bit interested in watching it, I would go for it, and hopefully you won't regret it. So that was my review of Godzilla vs. Kong. Please let me know down below what you thought of the movie, and if you're a noob, please like and subscribe. It would really mean a lot. In the coming days, I should have a Monsterverse ranking, so make sure to keep an eye out for that if you are interested. But anyways, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in that Monsterverse ranking.